That I will die on. That's what got me through everything. That is everything to me. If I'm not competing, I don't even know what I'm doing. That's Brian Harper, and here's the part that got me. He walked on at Weber State as quarterback, grinded up from the bottom of the depth chart to number 2, had the spring ball of his life where he balled out. Coaches pulled him in and told him, "You surprised the hell out of us. Keep this up. We'll keep you we'll get you some scholarship money." Then fall camp rolled around, one scrimmage that went okay and not great. They call him into a meeting and tell him the other guy had a better day. You're moving to tight end. 2 weeks before the season, he's 215 pounds. The next lightest tight end on the roster is 235. Most guys quit right there. The ones who don't quit usually stay and pout, which is worse. Brian said it felt like being back in 7th grade. The game was brand new again. I'm Jim Beebe. This is Athlete Builder. Brian's a decathlete, a D1 football player, an ocean lifeguard down in San Diego, soon to be firefighter, and he made the CrossFit Online semifinals this year, and now pushing a bobsled down a mile of ice, chasing a spot on the Olympic team in the next quad. Coaches, listen to this one for the position change conversation. You're going to have it this season. Somebody on your roster is about to get moved, benched, or has to be something they never signed up for. Brian's going to tell you what that feels like from the inside and what a coach can say that keeps an athlete in the building. One thing before we start, we spend some time on putting weight on an athlete. Adding size is a real goal, and it's also where kids get hurt by bad advice. For a young athlete, that means adding food, not taking away. And if you're working on body composition with a minor, that runs through a registered dietitian, of course, and their doctor, and not a podcast. All right, Brian Harper, before we get into all that, Brian, the gym you coach at, is it a pure CrossFit gym, or you said you've been coaching there, right? So how long have you been coaching CrossFit?
I've been coaching CrossFit now for about 2.5 years or so. I started my last semester at Weber State. I was getting my degree in exercise and sports science, and we had to do some internship credits. And I knew a coach at the CrossFit gym there. And so I just hit them up to intern. And then from there, just carried on, started getting into coaching and dove into the deep end with it. So I've been going for about 2.5 years with it now.
And not just doing it for fun, made it to the semifinals, right?
Made it to semifinals this year, yeah. I've been trying to compete and continue to grow on the athletic side of it as well as just the coaching. And so this was the first year that I made, the furthest I've made it, I should say, into semifinals. So made the online semis. My goal next year is to make an in-person semifinal. So keep working at it.
Keep working at it, right? So we got a football and a track guy. He's now flying down a mile track at 80 plus miles an hour, and I could die bobsled. How does that even happen? What was that first run, that holy shit, I'm doing this now moment? Because everyone has a first football moment, a first competition moment. Now you're running down this bobsled at 80 miles an hour. What's that first run even like?
Everyone kind of tries to explain to you in their own way what it's going to be like, and everyone tells you there's not really a way to describe it. And so I remember my first day getting over the track, I went down to our Airbnb with Jason Darius. We were on my sled at the time. I was on Jason's sled, loaded up, brought it up to the hill, and we basically got to the starting line. He's like, "All right, get in, hold on." And I was like, "What? We're going?" And we just started and went. And so it all happened so fast. I couldn't really process what was happening until we got to the bottom. And I was like, what just happened? It was just crazy. It was pure adrenaline and chaos for a minute. And then you're like, all right, let's go run it back. Let's go.
Man, I don't think we've had an athlete on yet with that diverse of a background. My goodness. So flipping over for your part-time gig, because you got to actually pay the bills. So there's some coaching, but now a lifeguard out in San Diego. Real rescues, real stakes. You're swimming open water. What's the funniest, what did I just get into moment there?
That's easy for me. So before you start working as a lifeguard, there's a little regional academy that we have. It's the one I did was like 4 weekends. Basically, you're out all day for all weekend, training, practicing rescues, doing PTs, everything like that. And there's this famous test down here called green wall. And down at La Jolla Shores, you start at this wall, used to be green, it's all faded now, but run down under the pier, swim out and around the pier, back into the sand, run back. That's one of the standard tests you have to pass to make it through the academy. And I had kind of went out and practiced it a little bit, not seriously, just to see the course. And on day 2, we were running through a practice of it. And I had never swam and big surf before. I'd done a little bit of open water training, but I'd never swam and surf. And I got out there and I was eating water. I was taking on so much. I couldn't breathe. It took me probably 20 minutes. And I was out there just trying to float, trying not to drown. They had a lifeguard on a paddleboard by me. Like, "Are you good?" I was like, "I'm all right. I'll get through it." Slowly got in. I was like, probably 5 minutes after the next person. And so I was like, what am I getting myself into right now? This is absolute chaos. So I had to kind of lock in. And the week before the actual test, I was out there practicing it every day, and I was swimming every day, and I got my time down to, I think I cut 5 minutes off of it or something like that. But it was just, in my mind, I had first thought, I was like, I'm going to drown right here. And how am I going to save anybody? And second one was like, what am I getting myself into? So I had to really take a step back, like, all right, lock in here, figure out what you're doing, practice it. You got to get it in. You got to get going with this or you don't have a job. I locked in and it was fun. It was the process of growing through that 4 weeks from where I started to finish. It was night and day different.
Did you hear the background noise to Baywatch coming on like in your head? And
Yeah, when I
all
was running, yeah.
and all when you're running, Karen, then they have that tube for safety, and you see everyone running in red bathing suits, and you're like, hey, this is for me, until you're almost dying on your first open
Yeah,
water swim on the way back. You're like,
yeah,
this
you're
is me.
running down with everyone, like, oh, this is sick, this is cool. And then no.
No, whoops.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, now we're good. Now I'm used to it. Now I'm ready.
The SEAL swim last year that I did, we started off with a ceremonial run. They call it a trot, and it really was a trot. We're maybe running 15-minute mile because we're carrying these flags, which is for people to see and everything. Lots of fun. See the parachuters. And then it comes time to jump in the water to start swimming to the Statue of Liberty from New Jersey out over in the Hudson River. And I didn't realize that our insertion was on this bridge. I thought we just walk up to the shore and the sand, and you just start making your way out, put your fins on, get going. And now they kept saying as we're going in these groupings, so you don't all jump at once because you could land on people. They say, hey, no backflips, no backflips. I'm like, man, no problem. I could do a somersault. And so we get over this bridge, and I'm looking down. I'm like, that's a good 15, 20 feet below. This wasn't in the order. And not a lot of people know this, that when it came time for me to jump, and I did, you're given a swim buoy. I don't know if you guys use these swim buoys when you guys are swimming open water, but it's a rope that's tethered around your waist. And then from that belt around your waist, there's another rope that's tethered to the belt, which is attached to this buoy. It's inflated so that if you get in trouble, you can hold on to it and swim on your back. Or if it goes under with you, the people around you are like, oh man, that dude's in trouble. Go get him. Just like when a fish takes the hook and that bobber goes down, same deal. So when I jumped off the bridge, I just jumped off like everybody else. You just jump. Some people are holding their fins. Usually you want to jump feet first so it doesn't knock your fins off. But one guy was holding his buoy, and I wonder, man, why is he doing that? So I did not. And once I landed, the buoy ripped. There's a hole in it, and it detached from the tether, and I had to go get it, tied on somehow. The outer shell had a hole in it, so it was taking on water. The inner bladder was still full of air, so it ended up being okay. But man, talk about a welcome to moment. That was brutal. You did the decathlon. That's 10 events. Which one humbles you the most?
Hurdles. 100%, no question, hurdles. My hip mobility was, and it still is, awful. And my favorites, I was really good at pole vault, loved pole vault. Javelin was super fun. The sprints I was always a sprinter, so it was okay for me. But hurdles, terrible. I was so bad at hurdles.
So if you're athletic and can do all the things physically, and so being so diverse, so it makes sense that decathlon 10 events, as broad of a athlete as you can be in the track world, to transition into CrossFit, definitely more strength component in the lifting to make that athlete even more well-rounded. But I wrote down college quarterback and then moved over to tight end.
Yeah.
That's a mindset thing. That's a humility thing. That's a I want to get on the field thing. That's a go to the coach and have a conversation. That's even though you learn in the routes, when you're throwing the ball to those guys, it's different than running the routes, and it's different from running the routes and creating separation. And also you're exerting force and hitting people as opposed to just sitting back there getting killed when you get hit. So walk me through how that went in college and how you had to play D1 tight end.
Yeah, it was huge switch up for me. So when I got to Weber, I came in as a quarterback, and they already had their depth chart set. So I started at the bottom, right? Got my crap reps in the spring, tried to work my way up. Went through fall camp, scout team, didn't really get much there. The next spring, I had a really good spring, and we had our meeting after the spring ball, and my coach were like, honestly, like I worked my way up to 2. That was the number 2 quarterback. And they were like, honestly, you surprised the hell out of us. Like it was huge spring for you. So I was a walk-on. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay 2 or 3. We'll get you some money, just like some scholarship money, and you'll be in a really good spot moving into the fall. And I was like, perfect. I thought I was doing really well. I thought I was making big strides. Come to fall camp, kind of same thing. There was the top few of us. We had our first scrimmage, and I played okay. I didn't ball out or anything, but I played all right. Got called into a meeting afterwards, and they said, it's between you and Creighton. Creighton was our 3 guy at the time. It's like, Creighton had a better day, so we're going to move you to tight end. I was like, that's sweet. Jumping back down to the bottom of the depth chart, I was 215 at the time, I think. I weighed 215. And so for me, it was like, okay, how am I going to put on weight? Like, how am I going to get on the field? Because the next lightest guy, I think was 235, 240. And so I was like, I'm way behind here. And it was 2 weeks before the season started, I think. So I was just doing what I could. Obviously, I knew the playbook really well. So mentally, it was easy because I knew what everyone was doing. I just had to condense that to tight end. But physically, it was like, okay, how do I shift my mindset now? I have to be on the attack. I'm not evading anyone anymore, right? I got to be hitting people. I got to be able, like you said, getting off the line. I got to get loose. I got to shift everything mentally, easy. Physically, 180, right? I got to be able to just kind of be ready for a whole new ball game. But it was kind of fun just relearning the game in a way. Like I got to kind of be back in 7th grade when I first started playing, and it's brand new again. And so I got to love it in a different way than I had been for the past 10, 12 years, however long I was playing. So I ended up getting to 225, not heavy enough at all, but enough to, I got some kind of crap reps here and there. There was one game where I was in some packages and got to play a decent amount, got a reception, everything. But it was just, I was getting my butt kicked every day, like trying to block these DNs. Like it was so bad, but it was fun. I had a good time with it.
Was that your last year?
That was my
You're
last
playing.
year, yeah.
Gotcha.
So I went through the fall there, and then I technically had one more season with eligibility. So I went through the spring at tight end, and then I graduated, and that was kind of my decision-making point. Okay, I can go through the fall, get into a master's program, or I can be done. And with where I was at mentally with everything, while it was fun, it was really hard, like just being on the sidelines for me mentally and practicing every day, putting in all the time, and then just having to watch was super hard for me. And so I just made the decision that I couldn't do that to myself mentally again. So and I graduated with my bachelor's anyways at that point. So I decided it was time for me to step away. I think if I had maybe another couple years, like if it was my freshman or sophomore season, I got moved and I could actually put some real weight on, then it's a different story. But when I had such a quick amount of time, I got what I needed out of it. And I think it was time to be done.
Gotcha. In the athlete builder world, one of the things that we harp on is our philosophies and models for building athletes. And if anyone that listens to the show, they know pretty well by now that there's the head and the body, and the head has their mindset. And it sounded like you were driven to be on the field, ready to get after it. Then there's the knowledge of your sport. So totally different deal. However, knowing the playbook, that clearly was not a limiting factor. And then communicating. So you probably had decent communication with the starting quarterback because you knew the plays and you knew what was going on. But then there's the body, right? Like I could be the smartest X and O guy from my desk here at 51 years old, right? I can know everything you knew about the playbook, but physically not going to be there. So there's your training, nutrition, recovery. Got to lift to be a lot bigger, stronger, faster. Got to eat to make all that happen, and then recover really fast so you can do it all again.
Every day, I got to be ready to go. Yeah.
Every day. When they tell you you're moving down to 3 and you're not going to be moving up to 1 at all, was part of you like, you know what? I'm out. I'll see you. I'm done. I gave it my shot. Or, hey, I still got one more shot. This is my senior year. Let's see what I can make of this. What should I do? Because it's a bit humbling because you're like, you've been playing quarterback for a while. And now you're saying, you know what? No. It's like getting fired from a job. How did you handle that?
Yeah. For me, my initial thought was like, I need to prove myself still. I wanted to get after it. I wanted to get on the field, right? So I was like, I'm going to grind and compete and work my way up. Like you said, the physical aspect of that, when I moved to tight end, that side of it was harder. It was a lot to overcome for me. But yeah, like I knew I had to work that much harder, right? To get my way on the field, to work up the depth chart, to scratch at some playing time. So for me, it was like, I just have to lock in more here.
Gotcha. So there was no, hey, I'm quitting. Fuck you, coach. I'm out. So we're still gonna push. Okay, awesome. So athletes they encounter that all the time. Coaches do too. Where hey, you're gonna be better suited over here, or your body changes as you age. So now you're better suited over there. And people get locked in at a certain thing, and as opposed to just being open to the idea, hey, maybe I'm gonna make a bigger impact in a different role. And a lot of times, if you can find joy in just the process, it almost doesn't matter the role. Hey, I'm quarterback, I'm running back, I'm tight end, I'm linebacker. Hey, I'm watching film, I'm with my guys, I'm trying hard, I'm making an impact. So I think most people, they just find that they're making progress and making an impact. They're probably going to be feeling okay. Not everybody. Some people, for them and their ego, they got to be the guy. They got to be the dog that's called on. But others, if you could find joy in the process of just making an impact and progressing, I think you can keep going in almost any role.
I definitely had both sides of that. Coming out of high school, I had talked to UC Davis, and they wanted me to move to safety. I was like, nah, I want to play quarterback. I've been quarterback my whole life. I want to keep playing quarterback. Went to Butte, played JUCO quarterback. And the UC Davis coach kept talking to me the whole time. He's like, hey, if you want to play safety, like you can come over and play safety. He's like, I want to play quarterback. I want to play quarterback. And then went to Weber, quarterback. And then when they moved me, I was like, okay, like I don't have a say in this anymore. I have to, like you said, I have to come to terms with this and find a way to enjoy it and still get what I can out of it and accept that my quarterback career is over. I got to get what I can out of being a tight end now.
Gotcha. You know the phrase that if the team has two quarterbacks, they really have zero?
I haven't heard that, but I understand 100%. Like, you got to
Hey,
have
this guy
someone.
is a better thrower. This guy's a better runner. We're going to try to play him 50% each game, which means one's getting cold. You're never really in a good rhythm. You're not really totally getting developed. You're always looking over your shoulder. So when coaches have two starting quarterbacks where they go into camp with two, they got to at least end camp with, hey, this is our guy, right? All right, so here's where I'm going with this. And I'm going to preface with saying I'm not trying to be critical, right? It's hard to say that because the audience and the person you're talking to is thinking, oh, he's about to be critical, right? But I'm not. I'm just curious. So if we're competing in CrossFit and we're competing at becoming an Olympic bobsledder, but we also have to have a job to pay the bills, which is the reality that other sports pay and some sports pay shit. So then you got to earn a living. So maybe as a lifeguard, but now I'm seeing firefighters, so you're going to evolve to that. If you have so many irons in the fire, it's hard to be great at the one you're destined to be great at. And that's okay if you're not the number one person on the planet. God still loves you. But what is the Brian Harper business model of how you're going to handle the next quad, which is 4 years leading up to the Olympics, or actually the next 4 to 5 years where I'm competing in this one sport and competing in this other sport. And I'm also got to pay the bills. So I got to have one or two different jobs. How do you find a formula that makes that work?
So for me right now, my goal is establish my career as a firefighter. With the quad just starting up, there's plenty of time there. CrossFit is how I enjoy working out. It's how I like to work out. And that correlates with the firefighting career very well. And now my training is much more CrossFit style versus focusing on sprinting power for bobsled. The lifeguarding is, like you said, just to get by. It's just a step on the path to being a firefighter. So that's, for right now, is my main priority is establish my career there. Get through academy, get through probationary year. And then as we kind of get closer towards back half of the quad, I can shift the CrossFit training. It's not going to be as prioritized for me. And I can hone in more on that, the sprinting, the power, the lifting, and kind of dial it in more towards that bobsled training for me. That's how that's my mindset going forward for the next quad.
Gotcha. Would you rather be an Olympic champion or a CrossFit champion?
I mean, you got to say Olympic champion. It's hard not to turn down an Olympic champion.
Is it 2-man or 4-man bobsled for you?
I only got to race 4-man in Park City, and it was fun. I liked 4-man a lot. I really like 2-man was cool. Don't get me wrong. It was a really fun experience. But 4-man, like the team component of, okay, you have to be smooth loading in. It's a lot more moving pieces, was really fun. And we were all first time in a 4-man sled. So it was a rough, like, learning curve there for us, but it was a really fun time getting that and figuring that out together. So I definitely like 4-man better than 2-man.
You talk about in the Olympic Village, whether it's in the summer or winter games, that once you're done or at night, if you're not competing anymore, it's like Vegas on steroids in this one big party. How true is that?
I haven't been to the Olympics yet, so I'll tell you in 4 years.
Gotcha. So you probably haven't heard any stories, that's what you're saying.
I haven't heard anything super specific. I've heard the rumors like you. I've heard different things, but no, I haven't heard any exact stories from anyone, no.
You can tell in people's body language when they're saying certain things. And if you can watch it on film, you can just tell that a lot better. Also from the pause, you can tell that Brian knows some things. He's just, hey, I'm just not saying it on air. And that's totally cool. I get that. And I respect that. You said you don't get stuck in your way. And as a coach, you're willing to learn from athletes, right? And there's a lot of crossover in every sport. So if you can learn from something from bobsled, you can, on power and sprinting, you can apply that in the CrossFit world. But also when you're running to a fire, there's things that there's going to be some crossover. Talk about some lessons learned from the athletes you've been around, whether you've been in a coaching role or in the bobsled role or the decathlon role. Some of the lessons you learned, not from the coaches around you, but from the athletes around you.
I think as a coach for CrossFit is such a different field because I'm getting some pretty competitive people and also just a lot of everyday average family people that are coming in to work out and get fit. So I can hear kind of different stories of how certain things click with certain people, or maybe they don't have experience in this. So if I'm saying one cue or one thing about how to lift, it's just they're not figuring it out, right? They have such a different background. So it's important to hear their stories and their experiences and figure out what works for them. I can bring a lot of the power stuff from bobsled into, I do a lot of different explosive stuff for warming up for our Olympic lifting sessions before our CrossFit classes. And so a lot of that's new to a lot of people. They haven't done triple broads or they haven't done different kind of box jumps. And so hearing their reactions to things and their questions, I'm like, oh, I never thought of it like that. Try it like this instead. And just being able to take their perspective and their thoughts on different movements, different lifts, different things, because they just have such a broad range of experiences in these, is fun for me to learn, oh, okay, that didn't click. Let's figure out a way to get through to you now. I think that's a different aspect that I have as a CrossFit coach versus just like a college strength coach or something where they're specifically with athletes. They know what their bodies are doing, right? Super good body control. They've been through the weight room, been on the field. They know what they're doing. Where I got to figure out, okay, how do I get through to people who maybe don't have that experience, right? So hearing what they have to say is fun for me.
It still comes down to meeting the athlete where the athlete is,
Mhm.
whether they're beginner, intermediate, advanced. And then it's finding the right cue. Because even if you're saying the right thing and the right cue, if they don't hear it or feel it, it's still going to be off, right? I could be saying knees out when they're standing up on a squat and it might not click. Someone else might say squeeze your glutes. So that is the art that goes into the coaching. It's not just here's your sets and reps, because your job is to get that athlete to perform at their best level. So moving correctly, moving powerfully, handling discomfort and pain, and keep going. When you say that trust is built more off the field, it's got to be both though, right? On the field and off. I can trust you that we're out having a good time and you're reliable and you get me, you hear me, you feel me. But if you're running the wrong routes because you're not doing your homework, right? Yeah, you and I we click, we're good buddies, but you didn't do the homework prep, so you're running the wrong route and I can't throw it to you, right? So it's got to be a little bit of both. But talk to me more about how building trust off the field is pretty impactful for you.
Yeah, obviously, if you're not putting in the work in the film room on the field, that's ground one, right? You have to be able to do all that.
That's just a standard.
That's the standard. But the more you can connect off the field and just build those relationships, I always found it helps a team grow together and want to perform for each other so much more than if there's like a division between the team or between the offense and the defense, or if there's one receiver that is like super selfish. He may be the best route runner, might know the offense very well, but if he's just selfish and doesn't click with the guys, then it's already a cancer in the team that's just going to drive everyone apart. So I think just the more you can grow together off the field, connect with each other, and it just lifts everybody up. My best receivers at Butte were the guys that I lived with, because when we were outside the film room, we were just connecting. We could talk about the routes, the practices, everything there, but we were just also getting closer as people. And I think that connection correlates onto the field so much better than people realize.
Find a way to compete in every aspect.
That I will die on that. That got me through everything.
How competitive are you, Brian?
That is everything to me. If I'm not competing, I don't know what I'm doing. Everything, school, I was like, I need to be the best in the classroom. I need to be the valedictorian. I need to be everything. Practice, I need to win this rep. I need to win this sprint. Weight room, I used to love at Weber, we would finish the weight room sessions with some little competition. They would either call a couple people out and have them go head to head on a wall sit, or everyone would hop up and have to do a dead hang, last man standing. I loved it. I might not have been the strongest dude in the weight room. Maybe I'm not the fastest in a 40, but when we're competing like that, I was winning. It didn't matter. It was so fun. So for me, I love competition. It pushes me so much.
Where's that come from for you?
I don't know. I think just always growing up, I just wanted to win. I had an older brother that we would play together a lot, shooting hoops in the yard, playing baseball with each other, just throwing BP. And I think maybe that started it. Like I want to beat my brother. And then that correlated and I just wanted to be the best. And I'd watch football on the weekends. I'd watch NFL guys. I'm like, I want to get there. How do I get there? I got to be the best. And so everything I did is I want to win. I want to beat these guys. I just took that through my whole life.
Is it just you and your brother? You have other siblings?
I have a younger sister too.
You try to beat her as well?
I didn't try. I did.
Gotcha. Now,
She's
who
really
was more athletic, you or your brother?
We all are very different athletically. My family's a big distance running family. So my brother ran longer distance at Cal. He was like track, cross country, more of like the 5K, 10K guy. I was a sprinter, football, basketball, field events and track. And then my sister was a distance. She did track cross country at San Diego State, and she did 815s, like mid distance, not quite sprinting, but pushing it a little bit more. So we're all very different athletically, and it was kind of fun to work out with each other and push each other in different fields.
So when you guys are talking smack, it can all be negated because you're not doing really the same events, are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was fun to talk smack, but yeah, there's a little bit of leeway with it. There's a little bit of grace.
Gotcha. Is it the middle child syndrome? Is that what it is?
That might play into it a lot. I got to prove myself extra, right?
Usually the middle child has to compete with the older one who's allegedly older, smarter, more advanced, versus the baby who's always the youngest and cutest, right? In the middle, the poor guy is just left. He's pissed.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, mom and dad, you know what? I'm going to win everything. Watch this. Gotcha. Man. So what happens when you're on a team and they're not competitive like that, or they're dogging it? And similarly, coaching average Joes in CrossFit who are trying to be healthy and the well-rounded, that's not single-digit body fat, 2 times body weight squat, 3-minute Fran time. So when you're around those folks they're trying pretty hard, but they're not killing themselves like you do, how do you meet them where they are as a coach?
First of all, good call out with the Fran. I think a lot of those people, they want to be competitive and they just maybe don't know it, or they are embarrassed to kind of do it because they're not quite at that level. But you can always see it when they hit a mark or a new clean, or we'll keep using Fran, and they have a time that they've done before and then they beat it about 30 seconds. You can see it spark something in them. They want to be competitive and they love that feeling. So when you find that, you just have to encourage that and be like, this is what we want every day. Keep pushing and improving and you will keep feeling this. So I think everyone has that side of them. They just have to figure out how to get it for themselves and not be afraid to let that side out.
That's huge. That's huge. Getting them to compete with themselves is awesome. And I think that's healthy and sustainable. Of course, I like beating other folks as well, but ultimately you're trying to change the way your body feels, the way your body looks. And so if you can find a way to I try to have athletes find some kind of PR almost every day, even if it's one more rep in the warm-up, or you do a little bit of extra core work, but find some way to make some progress. So they're used to like, hey, I'm going to push for a little bit more. I'm going to push for a little bit more. If you stack up enough of those wins, years go by and you're pretty legit.
Yeah, you're a whole different person.
Compound, whole different person, not recognizable, handling fears. The athletes, when they first start coming into the gym, they're worried about, do they look stupid? Do they look silly? What are people going to think of me? Versus 2 years later, they walk in, all right, I already looked at the workout this morning. I got a plan. Here's how I'm going to attack.
Yeah,
attacking's not the idea of their first month going to the gym. They're trying to survive.
Yeah, they're trying to survive. They're trying to fit in. Do I belong here? It's such a big problem. I know I've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, CrossFit's intimidating, CrossFit's scary. And it's like, just come to one of the classes and first of all, we'll welcome you in with open arms. It's a super inviting place. And then you're going to see everyone competing and cheering for each other and hyping each other up. And you're going to slowly want that more for yourself. And you'll dive in and you'll get those PRs. And like you said, 2 years later, completely different person.
I ran that gym for 13 plus years and that never changed. Newbies would come in, or they wouldn't come in at all, and they would be in their head and intimidated. And it just made me sick, because I'm like, ultimately at some point you're just going to die and be dead. And there's no more. Could I try this? Could I try this painting class? Could I try lifting weights? Could I try a powerlifting meet? Could I try hiking the Grand Canyon? You're just dead and gone. And you didn't try? That just kills me.
I think the hardest part for people is just walking through the door, whatever it is. Like you said, like you might have all these aspirations of whatever it is, painting class, go hike this mountain. If you don't take the initial step, you're always going to wonder what happened. What if I did this? What if I tried that? And that's something the last couple of years that I've thought a lot about and have tried to just, I say yes to a lot more things. If I have that idea, I'm like, okay, let's just try it. Let's just go do it and see what happens. Now I'm a lifeguard. Did I ever expect that? No. Like, there's just things I think people get in their head. Go try it. Worst that happens is you don't like it, or I don't know, like maybe you're going on a hike and you get to the top, you're like, this was miserable. I never want to do this again. You did it though. Like, that's something that people can't take away from you. And if you didn't like it, don't do it again. But now you've done that.
But that's not really it, is it? Like, it's not that they started walking up the hill and it got to the top and it was like, man, I felt like a total failure. It sucked. Yeah, it's going to be hard, especially at altitude. But I think what it is that they had this idea in their head that they're going to look so bad that people will make fun of them, look at them bad. You get a bad look, and they're just going to feel bad about themselves. And it's all that protective ego, which is such a sad thing. I'm not saying I'm impervious to this. I'm guilty of it as well. I'm not sitting there pointing fingers without pointing the finger at myself first. But as soon as you just give that shit up and realize that doesn't matter really, as long as I'm trying my best, God has me. Once you have that figured out, that stress got to go away. I could walk into a gym and be the biggest, fattest loser, but God has me and I'm trying to get better. You're going to be good,
Yeah, you just have to put the
right?
ego aside and realize that you're trying to better yourself. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
So from navigating the sharks on the beach, preparing for firefighter school, and all the other athletic stuff that you're coaching and training, what's a typical week look like? And are you only getting 3 hours of sleep a night? What's going on?
No, I still try to prioritize my sleep. I usually have my coaching days. I'll coach a couple days a week where it definitely more open for my training hours. And then the days that I'm on the beach, those are usually 10-hour work days. We get an hour to do PT there. So I'll try to do a workout in the morning before I go, and I'll do a recovery stretch or beach run or something during my PT there. But I still, regardless of what's going on, sleep is so huge to me. Being able to fully recover and rest. I can notice the next day when I'm waking up and trying to train, am I rested or did I sleep like crap and am just miserable, working on nothing? I feel like I can't lift anything. And so for me, prioritizing sleep is still huge.
Gotta be. Number one steroid. Number one steroid is
100%.
sleep.
I remember seeing, I think it was Matt Fraser talk about if they were able to ban sleep like a performance enhancing drug, they would. It's that good for people when they're trying to improve, to be athletic, whatever it is. Sleep is huge.
All of it. All of it. And when you're under more and more stress, you know you're not sleeping great yet. You're sleeping to recover, but if you're super overstressed, your brain is still thinking. You're not in that relaxed REM sleep like you need to be, and it just takes a toll. And you can see it and you feel it. You feel it, right? And you don't. The thing is, it's like boil it. What's the phrase about boiling a frog? They don't realize the frog is getting boiled until it's too late. You don't realize the load that you're carrying when you're underneath a lot of stress until some of that stress gets taken away, and you're like, "Holy cow, I feel different.
Yeah.
My stomach feels different. My brain feels different. I'm
Like
not
all of a sudden,
drinking
yeah,
as much."
you don't realize the load you're under. Yeah.
You're actually walking an inch taller. So totally agree. Any crazy encounters out there in the water, whether with some bull shark or an individual?
Not really any sharks this year. The majority of what Coronado has been is trying to advise people to stay out of the water because of how nasty it is. So there's not a ton of chaos, but we get our rescues every once in a while. People just not realizing that they're right in the middle of a rip, then little kid gets swept out. But the majority of it has been, hey guys, there's literal sewage in the water. Maybe don't go in today.
That sucks. We were
Yeah.
just out there 2 years ago. We were talking about this offline for my cousin Amanda's wedding, and we were over at the Hotel Del. And I had been in San Diego a number of years prior, and I said, if I ever come back, I want to stay here one night, and it's all I could afford because it's so expensive.
That's crazy.
But what an outstanding, beautiful place. And we didn't even leave. We were here and we're on the beach and we're hanging out there and they had fires out on the beach at night. It was like a whole different world.
Yeah.
You're taken back to the 1920s or 40s, and it's just as fun back then doing those simple things. What a beautiful experience. Now, over in San Diego, we were just talking about this too. How about that crazy dude who crashed his boat into the aircraft carrier yesterday?
Yeah.
And
People are unreal. You see that stuff in like a TV show or a movie. You're like, oh, that would never happen. No, people are so dumb. It's unreal what people do.
hit an aircraft carrier. It's a museum. It's moored. It's not moving anywhere, right? The Midway, just sitting right there. It's not like it's floating along. I'm like, my God. All right. So you have an athlete. They come into your gym. You're coaching them. Let's say you guys do some on-ramp programming. They're checked out. They can do the basic movements. In the athlete builder world, remember I said there's mindset, knowledge of your sport, how you work with people, teammates, your training, nutrition, recovery. When you're working with someone that's new in the CrossFit world, we'll go this question two ways in the CrossFit world, but also at the higher caliber athlete world, when you're a D1 sport or an Olympic hopeful, how do you analyze the athlete and find what the limiting factor is for that person right there to see it so you can move the needle the quickest?
I think it's just obviously case to case, right? Try to build the relationship with them and figure out what are they coming in for? What are their goals? What's their experiences? And you start with that. to find out where their mindset is. Like you said, there's two different branches, right? Head and body. Figure out what their goals are. What are they thinking? Maybe what they have in mind is something completely different than what it actually is. And so figuring out what they want, what their goals are, where they're coming from, I think are the first 3 steps. And then you can break it down physically. Where's their mobility at? Where's their strength at? And how can we balance those out to help them get to where they want to go?
Beautiful.
I think you can
Beautiful.
go kind of both regular gym goer and athlete wise. If you're getting a sports performance kid, same thing. Just break it down to head and body, like you were saying earlier. Where do they want to go? How do we get them there?
Yep. I think you got to have a metric for all 6 of those different things. Like when you talked in the first part of the story about changing positions, clearly the knowledge of your sport wasn't the limiting factor. It was a body size. And you knew you thought immediately, shoot, how am I going to get all this food in? How am I going to lift? How do I do all these things? Because until that changes, you're done, right? So there has to be a process, one way or the other, whether it's my way or someone else's, to figure out if something says you're absolutely done. How do you figure out what that is and how do you fix that? So that's huge. And meeting the athlete, like you said, where they're at and growing from there in their goals, got to be in alignment. Fast forward 30 years, you're my age, you're in your 50s. You've been coaching people a long time. You've been competing a long time. You've been a firefighter for a long time, impacting lives. What do you want those people you came in contact with to say about you?
I want them to say how passionate I was, whether it's coaching or saving lives, whatever it is, just that I truly cared about them and the best outcome for them and how to help them improve themselves. I just want to be passionate about that and carry that through the rest of my life. And hopefully when they see that from me, they carry that on with their lives and they're more passionate about what they love to do. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's just passion and find what you love, find what you want to do and attack it.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's for you to make the Olympic team and make it happen in 4 years? What's the big thing that you need to address?
I think I just gotta get stronger, honestly. I think getting my legs bigger and stronger is my goal right now, which, like I said, with CrossFit training, that's part of what I'm doing too. So that's building my base right now is strength, power, and then I'll start transitioning more to speed as we get closer or deeper into the quad, I should say.
True. So I would say strength cures a lot of sins, but speed and power is what kills. And that's really how you win. And if deadlift is a strength movement and power clean is a power movement, if you can't deadlift it, you sure can't clean it, right? So you got to they go hand in hand. And even though Brian Shaw, if you know, he is one of the best strongmen ever, you'll see him reverse curl, power clean, but really a reverse curl,
Yeah.
low to mid threes, like 330, 340. He's an old guy. He's over 400 pounds. And he just stands up and kind of reverse curls it. And people are like, oh, man, that's such a terrible clean. But hey, how do you get that heavy of a weight up? I'm like, he deadlifts 1,100. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's a little.
It's a third. It's a third.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
barely
a
a percentage for him.
So if you're a 300-pound deadlifter, that means you're only going to have to clean 100. How easy is that? Now, in the bobsled world, it's that sprint, but it's not just your own body weight. You got to exert force into the ice and then push that sled forward. So is there an ideal body weight? Is there an ideal, because you're leaning forward, so that's a lot of quad. So I got to imagine you got to be 200 or 215 pounds with a 2.5 times body weight or body weight front squat to be at that level and that standard. No, success leaves clues. Those that are whooping ass and pushing that thing really hard, what does that metric look like?
Yeah, definitely. The guys that are our World Cup team, those dudes are squatting, like you said, 2.5 times their body weight, going crazy. Like I said, for me, that's one of my goals is get my squat up, get front squat, back squat, all of that. I just want to get my legs stronger for that reason. I'm sitting around 220 right now. So if I could get maybe 225-ish, 230 and still maintain speed, I'd be good with that. Most guys I think are around 220 on the team. Heaviest guy was like 255. I don't know if you've seen Karsten. That dude is a freak. He's crazy. And then some of the guys are closer to 200. So there's kind of a range, but somewhere around 220 is probably the majority of the team.
I'm always training these kids. So that's good that you have these targets, these metrics, because you know what to strive and shoot for. And so I'll coach in remotely these athletes, and I'm also like more in person. It might be a wide receiver or some high school kid, and he's weighing in at 170. And I'm like, nope, stop, go home, quit. They're like, what? I go, you're 20, 25 pounds away from where you need to be if you want to play in college. And they're like, what? I'm like, if you want to be on the field and play, like, here, this is the answer. So then they start eating. And they're like, I'm going to get slower. I said, maybe. So we're not going to put on 10 pounds a week, but very consistently, we'll just keep doing 2 or 3 tests and see. So if I take you from 170 to 185 and your broad jump, your 40 time or your triple jump are the same, but you're still as powerful at a heavier weight. So now you're exerting more force because you're doing the same thing. So if you have something you can retest like we do and their weight changes, then hey, you can feel good about everything. So it's no longer guessing. You have a process and you're constantly retesting. That's going to be a way to go. I wrote down here Alex Bosenhard and Brady May and John Hayes. So looks like you want me to get in front of those guys.
Yeah, those are all. So John Hayes, he was my OC at Butte. He played at Butte, and then he went to the University of Utah. He's
Nice.
probably the smartest quarterback football coach I've ever met. That dude's crazy. Brady May, he was one of my roommate's brothers. He was at Weaver before me, but I've gotten to know him through the years. And he was just a freak fullback, special teams player. And then I think he went through summer camp on the Saints, maybe through some preseason. I'm not 100% sure how far he ended up making it with the Saints. But yeah, just a freak athlete there. And then Alex is a guy I train with down here at CrossFit. He's in the Navy, and he's a freak CrossFit athlete too. And he's I think he's in pre-deployment phase right now.
Beautiful.
I'm not 100% sure about what his timeline is with all that, but
cool. When you're lifting, what do you like to listen to?
I'm a big Blink-182 punk rock guy, or a little bit harder into the divorced dad, like Breaking Benjamin type music.
All right. What's a venue, sporting event you want to attend that you haven't attended yet?
I know it just ended, but I would love to go to a World Cup game. It's probably sick. My favorite to go to is UFC. I've been to 3 UFC fights. They're absolutely electric. They're so fun.
That Conor McGregor, man, what a letdown.
But it was so bad. Honestly, I'm not surprised because that's how he's been the last 5 years, but so bad.
What's your favorite sports movie?
I'm going to stay on the UFC track. I'm going to say Warrior. I don't know if you've seen that.
I want a Tommy
Two
to
Brothers.
win.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. I remember one of my first CrossFit competitions, we watched that the night before. My dad had never seen it. And so I watched that with him to hype me up. And then the whole weekend, all he was saying was like, if you don't win, you don't have a home. He was just quoting that movie to me the whole time. And then I ended up winning, so it worked out really well.
Nice. What's your favorite sport to watch?
Right now, definitely, I'd say UFC. I still like watching football. I kind of after I got done playing, I stopped watching it as much and wasn't as into it. So I'm getting back into watching a little more often. But lately, the last couple of years, probably UFC, honestly.
Favorite athlete to watch? And you may have never seen him, but somebody you wanted to watch. For me, I would love to see Muhammad Ali, but
Ooh, that'd be a good one. My favorite growing up was Brett Favre. I was a huge Brett Favre guy. That's why I wanted to play quarterback. So if I could go to a game of him, that would probably be like top tier peak experience.
I saw Jordan play twice. One was when he was with the Wizards and well past his best years, but still amazing. Then I saw him once when he was beating on Cleveland because I'm from Cleveland. I loved watching Jordan play. Do you have a book recommendation?
Honestly, I'm not a big book guy. I'm a movie and show guy. I don't read a lot of books.
That's okay.
I will say one that I read kind of recently, I know it's a little bit older now, but Green Lights from Matthew McConaughey was really good.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read that yet, that one's a good one.
How about you got a favorite superhero or villain or both?
Superhero, I got to go Spider-Man. I think I was Spider-Man 3 Halloweens in a row growing up. I was a huge Spider-Man guy.
He's been real popular lately with my asks.
He's the GOAT, right? He's the best.
He's all right.
Who's your favorite, though?
I like Thor because he's kind of dumb, but he has a huge hammer and he's just whooping ass and loves the ladies. So I like Deadpool's hysterical. I like Wolverine because he's similar to me and get off my lawn, just grouchy person.
Okay.
So
I like that.
I like those guys. Yeah. How about a villain?
I would say Homelander, if you've seen The Boys, but the last season he didn't go as crazy as I was hoping he would. Maybe the Joker, just because he's, at least in the Dark Knight trilogy, or like in the Dark Knight movie, there's no real reason. He's just wants chaos. And so I feel like that's a fun reason for a villain to just want to be a villain.
For sure. What's your favorite lift?
I love snatches, still working on it a little bit with mobility, but I'd say cleans are probably my favorite, but I do love a good snatch.
I usually don't ask this one, but you big into CrossFit. What's your favorite CrossFit workout?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to say, honestly, I kind of want to go with Isabel. It's just 30 snatches at 135, and you just kind of rip it out, and it's fun.
You ever see Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall do that?
Yeah, and they just basically muscle snatch it the whole time.
The whole time. So they're trying to do Grace, clean and press.
Yeah.
But they're so big and they have no mobility to get in that front rack. So they just go ground to overhead and they're like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's unreal. I'm like, how is anyone that strong? It's ridiculous to watch.
They're done in about a minute.
It's crazy.
It's a minute 5, a minute 3, minute 7, 30. That's every 2 seconds. Boom. Here's another one. Let's see if we can cause problems here. CrossFit or high rocks?
CrossFit. Easy. I do like High Rocks, and here's why. I think High Rocks is cool because it's super accessible for people. What I love about CrossFit is the crazy movements, the gymnastics, the heavy lifting, the technical stuff is what I love about it, the variety, but it's also what drives people away from it, where High Rocks is very accessible. All the movements everyone can do. So I will give High Rocks its props in that, where anyone, if you want to do High Rocks, you can get off the couch and train for High Rocks. CrossFit takes a little bit more time and experience, which is why I like CrossFit, but High Rocks has its place too.
There's always that gateway drug that gets you going, right? So nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You got a quote for us?
I think my favorite quote is a Lombardi quote. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Or sorry, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. So you can't just go out and just go through the motions, right? You have to be there for purpose. You have to be there trying to be perfect, and then you will get where you want to go. But if you're just out there going through the motions, you're not doing anything for yourself.
You got to try to win those practices, win those days between the games, and that's how you win. Where can people find you?
So Instagram and TikTok are really my only social media platforms I use. _ Brian Harper for both of those. And then I'm just going to shameless plug, me and my friend, one of my old roommates, Zeke, just started our podcast. It's called Narpocalypse, where we're entering the world of NARPs. If people don't know what that is, it's a non-athletic regular
Non-athletic
person.
real people.
Yep. And
A regular
basically,
person,
when
yeah.
your life is done with sports, it's like you're entering the apocalypse. So we're Narpocalypse. So shameless plug on that. It's Narpocalypse Pod on Instagram. It's just linked in my bio. So probably the best way to find that. And it will be on Spotify and YouTube.
When my son Jack was playing college football and he was calling us, those are just NARPs. Or these other athletes just joined the team. They're NARPs, they're not real athletes. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, people don't know it unless you've been in the field. You're like, what's a NARP? If you don't know, you're a NARP.
Yeah, you don't. So even when they say it around those folks, they're not insulted because they have no idea.
Exactly.
And so Narpocalypse. Narpocalypse. Got it. I'm going to mention it to them and connect you guys. And for those that want to get a hold of us, keep doing the same thing. info@athlete-builder.com. And if you want to reach out to Brian Harper, send us questions. I'll email them over to him and he can respond to them, and check him out on social media and his podcast. I know what it's like to put one together. It's challenging. We're nearing the end of our 3rd year, and I'm grateful for it. And Brian, I was grateful for our time today. I learned a bunch of things, had a great time doing it, and I'm looking forward to sharing your story with everybody else.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun.
And I should have said this sooner. Shout out Sydney Milani. Dang.
Shout out Sydney Milani.
Because she connected us. Awesome girl down in Alabama on the bobsled team, All-American, Alabama track athlete, super driven. Check out her company, Peerless, on helping support Olympic hopefuls. So, Brian, once again, thanks a lot. Loved having you on, and I wish you all the best on that next quad and also as a firefighter.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
See ya.